So a little while ago, I had an interesting observation, and I'm sure many of you have observed the same thing. I'm not sure. When I was a kid, my stepfather, one of the big things that he really drove home was the importance of work ethic and hard work. And if there was anything that I would say that I would remember my stepfather for the most, it would be his commitment to hard work. And he would demonstrate that in a variety of ways. He had been a smoker since probably, obviously he was born, in the late 30s, early 40s. Yeah, so he began smoking when he was about 14 at a very young age and became a heavy smoker most of his life. Started to develop what he thought was maybe the first signs of emphysema. He'd seen an older member of his family pass away because of that, and it scared the life out of him. So he went cold turkey and just gave up cigarettes after having smoked them for 40 plus years, gave them up like that, and took up running. And at first he'd run around the block, and he'd come back dripping in sweat, just dripping. And it was just overwhelming for him just to do that. And eventually he'd go out and he'd be gone for ages. And after a while, he reached the point where he was running at least 10, 15, 20 kilometers a day. He was just, he was just that kind of guy. If he was going to do something, he was never half-hearted. He was all in, and he would just really show you what it meant to work hard. And this kind of impressed upon me at an early age that work to some people can look different. Yeah, and I'm sure some of you have seen, perhaps as we drive about from street to street in our many years of being drivers and commuters, people that work on the road doing repairs on the street. Have any of you seen that? They've got the cones out, they're doing the repairs, and from time to time, I've seen this, a group of people may be gathered, but maybe only one or two are actually working. Maybe others are taking a break, having a coffee break. A number of people have been sent out to do the job, but maybe only a couple of people are required to get it done in the first instance. Have you seen that happen? And but the question arises as they go home to their loved ones, and their loved ones say, "So what did you do today, honey?" What's the answer to that question? I worked. But did they really? Was that real work, right? When they were sitting off while someone else was doing all the labor, right? There's a difference there, isn't there? And yet they go home and say, I worked. So that's one type. I want to talk about different types of work ethic tonight, and then give some definitions of what I think good work ethic involves. And I'm going to encourage you to either grab a piece of paper and a pen, or if you're in front of your screen and you've got a keyboard handy, get some notes, get prepared, because I'm going to ask you to rate yourself. You don't have to share your outcomes, but it's going to be some introspective moments here, because critically for a lot of people, as they look at building their businesses, they say just what those guys said. Well, I'm working it, so why aren't I getting paid? Yeah, but are we doing the right work? Are we working in the right way? So there's work ethic kind of number one, or type number one, I should say. The person that goes out and does stuff, but doesn't actually really work. They're just doing stuff. Yeah. The other type is, I grew up in New Zealand, and in New Zealand, there is farmland in abundance. As you can imagine, there is a ratio of 7-to-1 sheep to people. Right, so there is certainly an abundance of dairy and an abundance of farming and an abundance of opportunities to see that in action. But what was interesting is, and I'm not suggesting that all farmers are like this, because I know they're not. I say this anecdotally for the sake of emphasizing a point, okay? So I've got some very hardworking farmer friends, But I share this example as an anecdotal point to drive home a second type of work ethic. We had a friend that owned a farm, and they had horses on this farm, and they had a few other kind of wild stock and what have you that was there. And it was fun to spend our time there. And as children, we would go and we'd get to be with them over the weekends and sometimes in the holidays and get exposed to farm life. And it was interesting watching our friend work. He would work hard, really hard, but he wasn't always really organized. So he'd get up early in the morning and do certain very hard, physically, manually, kind of labor-intensive work in one portion of his farm. And then he'd go, oh, I've got to go over to this portion here to mend the fence. Off he'd go over there to fix the fence. Oh, hang on, I need to go back over here to sort this out. I need to drive into town to do this. It was all very busy and hardworking, but he wasn't always organized. And so this was kind of example number 2. Like I said, I'm not saying all farmers are like that. This was just an example on a particular day that I raise a point to illustrate. He was hardworking, but he wasn't organized. So the first one was present, not particularly hardworking, and not really organized to begin with, yeah? But they were present, and they would say that they worked. The other example were very hardworking. They showed up early in the day, but they weren't really organized or focused. The other example that I'd like to refer to is the paramedic. To me, the paramedic is one of the greatest examples of great work ethic. They work incredibly well. They don't show up to the scene of an accident like those first groups where they say, okay, I think I need, what's the name? Anyone know the name of that zapper machine? You know, someone's gone unconscious. They need to be jolted back to life. You know, they go, oh, I need that machine. He stopped breathing. His heart stopped. Ah, I think it's back in the ambulance. 1 second, let me go. And then they trot in a casual manner back over to the ambulance to go and have a look. That's not how I didn't pack it. I'm sorry. I thought you had it. I thought you had it. No, that's not how it works. I think we left it at the hospital. Does that pose a problem? This person's almost dead now. I think it does. Yeah. So all of a sudden that type of work ethic doesn't exist with paramedics, does it? It's a very different style of work. These people are organized. They are urgent. They are laser focused. They know what their purpose is. They know what their priorities are. They're ready to respond. They're active. They're engaged. They're fast. And it's interesting to look at all of the qualities that a paramedic possesses when it comes to the way that they approach their work. Now, they would come home at the end of the night or the end of the shift, say to their loved one, if their loved one says, so what did you do tonight? They'd say, I worked really hard. I worked. It may be the similar language to the first example, maybe similar language to the second example, but a very different demonstration of what work is. Wouldn't you agree? Really different example. So I want us to consider now, how do I show up for work in my business? How do I show up for work in my business? I'm going to read out now, I've made some notes here, 10 elements of work ethic. And as I read these out, I'd like you to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. How do I perform with each of these virtues or qualities of work ethic? And we can perhaps discuss our learnings and observations. Like I said, I'm not going to ask for personal feedback, and it's not going to be a name and shame thing. And hopefully you can see some good things coming through here. Yeah, I don't want everyone to feel nervous. Hopefully you can come out of this and go, hey, I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing pretty good. Yeah. So that's my objective, is that we can feel some assurances that I'm doing pretty good in some areas, but also there might be some other areas that I might want to do differently or prepare myself differently. Yeah. Because we all, if we don't think we can improve, we're not looking close enough. And that's just all there is to it. We're not looking close enough. Okay, so here are the 10 points that I think define work ethic. Point number 1, appearance. On a scale of 1 to 10. Now, what do I mean by appearance? How do I show up for my business visually? Do I make myself look professional? If I'm giving a presentation, if I'm engaging visually with a customer, do I represent my brand? If I'm doing a product demonstration, if I'm showcasing something, am I showcasing it professionally? Do I make it look like this is a world-class brand that I'm representing? On a scale of 1 to 10, how do I perform there? I think that's really important. I've seen too many people turn up at meetings not looking like they represent a world-class brand. And I think we need to play the part there and do good. Point number 2, attendance. And this doesn't mean do I show up, but also do I show up on time? What's my punctuality like? Do I show up a little late? Do I leave a little early? Do I skip important things? Now, we have, if you look at the Niken Connect schedule, there are a lot of things to show up for. And we've also got our own ABCs, our own one-on-ones, our own activities that we're involved in customer acquisition and engagement and so on. There's a lot to do, yeah? So along with attendance, this will kind of pop up later on in our organizational skills, needs to be a little bit of planning and prioritizing, knowing what matters most, and then showing up for the things that matter most. Do I do that? So for the things that matter most, am I present? Am I looking the part? And am I punctual? Right there, we're off to a good start, aren't we? Yeah. Number 3, how's my attitude? When I show up on a scale of 1 to 10 and engage in my business, what's my attitude like? Now, this is important here, because we need to check our attitude, not just when we're with other people, but also when we're engaged in our business activities on our own. There is a lot of important work we do that is solitary work. Yeah. When we're following up in email campaigns, when we're chasing up and following up with people one-on-one to see if they've kept a commitment, if they're coming to a meeting or an event, if they've tried our product and they've had a good experience, and we've got all that follow-up stuff. What's our attitude like here? And it's important that we check our attitude before we engage in those activities. Because sometimes we might need to go, I need to quickly realign. Yeah, and that might not be because I've got a bad attitude towards Niken. It might be that there's just stuff going on in life all about me, and I need to get focused. Yeah, because maybe something chaotic happened just a moment ago, and I can testify of that with personal experience right now, because 6 p.m. Pacific time in the Woodward household is a crazy time. And Kim's out of the house right now. She's coming back. I think she's come home. But I put Evie, my 4-month-old, in the capable hands of my 14-year-old, right, to feed. And I'm hoping that he's winded her. There was crying and all sorts of noise going on behind the scenes as I was prepping for this call. And what did I have to do? It's like, okay, I've got to get in the zone. I've got to get my attitude in the right space. I've got to, just for a few minutes, trust that behind these doors and behind the screen, things will be okay for half an hour. Yeah. And Kim will get home and she'll pick things up and we'll be good. We'll be good. And so, Ben, get in the zone. Get in the zone. But I've got to check myself and get in that space so that I can give my best when I'm present. Because everyone deserves our best. Yeah, we've got to have a standard of excellence that we commit to in our business, and our attitude needs to reflect that. Yeah, that's why it's at the heart of work ethic is attitude. How is my attitude? Because that will drive everything else. If I've got a great attitude, that will be reflected in my character, in my appearance, in my attendance, and in all the other qualities that we go through hereafter. Okay, the next one after attitude, character. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would I rate my character in regards to my business conduct? What does character look like here? I've got some virtues here that I've listed. Loyalty to my team, to NICAM. Honesty, dependability, reliability, initiative, and self-control. These are great qualities, aren't they? I'll read them out again. Loyalty, honesty, dependability, reliability, initiative, and self-control. How are we performing in these areas? Okay, on a scale of 1 to 10. Number 5, communication. That's verbal, non-verbal, and I've also included here listening. Now, interestingly, the word listen, I love, as many of you know, etymology, yeah? So that the Anglo-Saxon origins of the word listen comes from the word listen, L-Y-S-T-E-N, which means to yield to advice. So when we're listening, it's not simply hearing words. If I'm truly listening, I'm yielding to advice. That's interesting, isn't it? So communication is verbal, non-verbal, and effective listening. Number 6, cooperation. And I like this because cooperation here includes displaying personal leadership. How do I demonstrate personal leadership in my business? Am I doing that? Or do I rely on other people to lead it for me? Yeah. We also need to have, of course, the ability to handle criticism. Well, this is definitely a part of cooperation. If we're going to work as a team, getting feedback and dealing with that in a constructive way is important. And sometimes people can be straight to the point in the way that they deliver it. How do I respond when I get to the point feedback? Can I handle that okay? If I get a little bit of criticism, or if there's a little bit of conflict, or if there's a little bit of stress, how do I deal with stress? As teammates, our ability to deal with stress and conflict is really important. If we can't handle the stress, then it becomes very problematic in our ability to build a meaningful team because we step back and then we step out. Yeah, so teamwork means we get engaged, we're willing to lead. If someone has some constructive criticism, we can handle it, and we can deal with the stress of building a business together as an organization. One of the key skills of succeeding in network marketing isn't recruitment and isn't customer acquisition. One of the key skills is team building. That's one of the key skills right there. So learning how to lead, learning how to deal with stress, learning how to get that feedback, really important. And of course, managing relationships, making sure, do I have and can I nurture and foster meaningful relationships? That's really, really, again, essential. Number 7, organizational skills. This is important because we live in a world now that places more demands on us, I think, than ever before. I know the rising generation are more stressed out than ever before. I think there are lots of reasons as to why that is, but technology means that we've gone from a time where, you know, back in the day, 100 years ago, we'd say, I'll meet you at noon, and you'd probably look up at the sun, right? Or maybe you'd check your wristwatch, your pocket watch, and you'd be in the ballpark, you know, if you're 150 years back in time. But maybe 10 years ago, if we missed one revolution of a revolving door, we'd get infuriated, right? Because someone cut in front, oh, you know, now I have to wait for 3 seconds to get through the door. And now people's attention spans when it comes to advertising and engagement and being on a screen, it's about 6 seconds. That's just ridiculous, isn't it? Our attention spans have reduced to such a level that most people can't sit through a commercial break if they're sat there on television, watching television. In fact, half of them can't even watch a TV show without being on their phone at the same time. They can't even fully concentrate, even in passive activity. Yeah. So that's a frightening way that the world is going. So we need to look at this. How do I organize myself? And critically, what are my priorities? Do I know what my priorities are? Again, jumping into etymology here for just a minute. The word priority means the first or prior thing. Technically speaking, the word priorities came into the English language about 150 years ago as a plural. Okay, so that kind of joined the evolution of the word, because language is evolutionary. It joined the language about 150 years ago, but interestingly, the plural of the word priority shouldn't technically exist, because you cannot have a first or prior thing multiple times. Yeah, I can't count to 10 and go 1, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I can't say this is my priority, this is my priority, this is my priority, and count them all of equal value. They're now no longer priorities. Yeah, so we've got to learn to divide them out and understand what is most pressing, what is most important, and understand the difference between urgent and important. A phone ringing requires an urgent response. It may not be important though. Maybe what I'm doing right now, having a conversation with someone, dealing with a particular concern, managing a customer's complaint, or supporting a distributor follow-up, maybe that's the important thing that I need to prioritize, and I'll let go of the other thing that might be pressing, but not important. We need to learn how to differentiate and segment them out. Yeah, so organizational skills, learning to prioritize, and I've added this one as well, within that organizational skill, dealing with change. In NICAN, as with every business, we have change happen all the time, don't we? Yeah, and sometimes we go, we just changed this and now it's changed again, right? What's going on? What's happening? We've got to be able to learn to deal with that and go, this is business. This is what happens. In business, things change. In life, things change. We've got to roll with the punches and be able to manage that and respond and be okay. Can I deal with change? And can I shift my priorities to be fluid in order to respond to a shifting, changing organizational kind of environment? That's important. Productivity, point number 8. Can I follow instructions and follow through on commitments? This one's really important, productivity. And it's a critical part of work ethic, because I can show up, I can look the part, I can sound the part. I can communicate well. I can have all my goals in order. But if I'm not going to work, then what's the point? It's all for nothing. Yeah. It's all pretense if I'm not going to do the other stuff. So productivity has to be one of the most important of the 10 ethics that fall under this umbrella of work ethic. We've got to be able to demonstrate productivity. Can I deliver results? If I'm going to say, I'm going to talk to 10 people today, at the end of the day, have I done it? If I'm going to show the presentation or show the plan 3 times or have an ABC committed and locked in by the end of the week or over the next couple of days, I'm going to lock that in, or I'm going to do my follow-up with my customers by Tuesday morning or by Tuesday night. It's Monday evening already. By Tuesday night, I'm going to have all my follow-up with my customers done for the week by Tuesday evening. Have I done it or have I not? It's as simple as that. Number 9, respect. And this certainly is important in a business that is filled with people. We are a people business. We're all about humans being more. And as I look on the screen tonight, I am so pleased to see that this team of ours is a wonderfully rich and diverse team. That's fantastic. And if we want to do well in business and have great work ethic, we need to be able to respect other people, their values, diversity, and have tolerance for other people. We need to be able to demonstrate that and show it to be a great team player. We need to show that level of respect. And I think if we can be respectful, that goes a long way in being able to demonstrate great work ethic. If we're respectful to others, how do they reciprocate? They always respond back, don't they? It's a reciprocal virtue. So if you want to be respected, respect others. And then the last one, which kind of ties into that, is teamwork, working together. And that feeds in, doesn't it, into so many of these other qualities that we've talked about tonight. So on a scale of 1 to 10, be interesting to see how we've done. As I've looked at that, I've certainly seen areas for my own improvement, ways that I want to do better, areas where I've gone, yeah, I think I'm doing good here, but definitely areas where I go, yeah, I've got to set some new goals and have some new assignments for myself for my own improvement. So I hope that each of you have that as well as you kind of go through this exercise. In the spirit of work ethic, I want to do a screen share for just a second. Bear with me. Share screen and do some congratulations, because there are some great people on the call tonight that have been demonstrating great work ethic and doing great things in the business. So I want to recognize these people here tonight. So this is the Canadian top achievers for April, who have done a minimum of 500 PV in the month. That's a big list. I want to say congratulations to all of you. For those of you that are on the call, I want to just highlight one particular person here. I know there's a number of people on the call that have done this, but I want to just do a little shout out to Thu Ha, because she's fairly new in the business and has just gotten started literally just a few months ago. So to see her consistently doing this as a core activity, I want to say well done. In addition, I'm going to come back to Mary in just a second. Mary, I know you've been asked to share your story a little bit here, so we'll get to that in just a second. The top PGPV as well. Look at these volumes here, tremendous volume. Again, a huge congratulations to Leo LeMay, who has got 6,000 points, over 6,000 in his PGPV. Mary Robson, who is number 2, but was also number 1, right up here with the volume as well. So 3,797 points in volume. absolutely tremendous. So a big congratulations to everyone for their great work ethic that they are demonstrating in doing the right things. The PV and the PGV are two fundamental behaviors for building the business. That's where it all starts. The PV is where it begins. The PGV is where it takes us to the next step as we start to build our teams. And then from there, it just hopefully will get better and better as we get the volume and the organization and that spirit of teamwork coming in, where we start to build a team that starts to look like something pretty powerful and a force to be reckoned with. So Mary, I'd like you to unmute your line, please. I'm really grateful that you're on the line with us. I want to ask you to share your story, please, if that's all right, as to how you've kind of developed over the last 12 months, your personal development story. Could you share that and take a few minutes with us? I know that Mike has been your mentor along that way. And as a consequence of kind of having that mentoring relationship over the last few months, there's been some improvements in your life and in your business as well. And you were the #1 PPV qualifier in Canada last month, which is tremendous. So Mary, tell us your story.
All right. Well, my story starts in my bedroom. I am laying flat on my bed. I've been sick. I cannot talk because every time I took a breath to say a word, I coughed for 5 minutes straight. So I got sick on December 1st, 2019. And I thought I was dying. By the end of December, I missed Christmas and everything, and I was dying. I could not eat anything. I lost my sense of smell. Everything ached in my body, and so I talked to God, and I said, please don't let me die. I have, my brother just died 2 years earlier, and I still have his mess to clean up, and I didn't want to leave that to my sibling, my remaining sibling, my sister. And also, I felt a lot of regret about not doing certain things. Like, hey, I didn't really reach any significant diamond rank in NICAN. I didn't learn my 4 languages that I promised myself I would before I died. And so I didn't die. However, I decided to make some changes. And this list is actually quite interesting, is the attendance. And, you know, I got into NICAN because I wanted to create the best and the healthiest bed and breakfast in the world.
Lovely.
In Canada and the world. And again, it was a dream, a vision I had. I had no knowledge of NICAN. And as God and the universe works out, you ask for something and you really, really want it, then it delivers. So, and I've used the products in my business until today. And so, however, in around 20, so I was always attending the workshops and the events because I loved the people, but I never did the business. I couldn't see myself doing the business. When the Royal Diamond spoke at events and said, you know, if you want to improve your business, get in touch with us. You know, we're here to help you. I couldn't even see myself getting in touch with a Royal Diamond, including Michael DiMuccio, because at that time I wasn't working directly with him. So I did go through the motion. I was on some of the calls, but I never really got engaged. I never committed and actually did anything. And so and what I was doing is I was doing a hobby. Nikan was a hobby. I was doing a life, and Nikan was a hobby. So in 2013, something significantly happened to me. I got scammed and I lost my home. It was a charity that I was supposed to be involved, which was a big scam. And so I thought that I was the problem, and I've been trying to change myself for years, decades. I've always thought I was the problem. And so even getting into Nikan after the scam, I felt that I wasn't worthy, and I couldn't really do it. Who would really trust me to, lead them? So after being really ill and thinking I'm going to die, something shifted in me. I really felt that I needed to do something. I needed to take action. And I've been to on Michael's calls, and he's talked about Bob Proctor and how he took the course Science of Getting Rich. And I thought, okay, Bob can do that. Michael can do that. Bo Tanis, they've all, gone to Bob's workshops. They can do that. I can't do that. I just can't do it. Mm. And then right after that, Leading Ladies, Leading Ladies was on, and I heard a number of women talk, and one was Barbara Bertucci, and I'm not sure if it was in the first call or the second session. She talked about Bob Proctor helped her go to Royal Diamond. I thought, a woman, she did it, so, okay, maybe I'll get in touch with Barbara. And so I did, and she was delightful. And I want to say now, all the Royal Diamonds are delightful. It was just me who couldn't do it, who couldn't get in touch with them. And I've got in touch with 4, and they're all delightful. And even Bo Tanis reached out to me offering his help. And, wow, 5 Royal Diamonds I have now to aid me. So that's as an aside. So anyway, in my inbox, when you're ready, the teacher comes, was an email from Bob Proctor offering a Science of Getting Rich workshop May 1st to the 3rd. And I signed up, and then I took it. And the things that made a difference for me, that really touched my heart. And of course, that's where we all live. We live in our hearts, in our emotions. And I always prided myself that I think in the head, but really, honestly, it's in my heart. So Bob asked, what do you really, really want? And I couldn't answer that question. It wasn't what I felt inadequate. I felt too old, all of these things. And then he also said, your spiritual DNA is perfect. And I went, what? Could that be a reality, that my spiritual DNA, I don't know. Wasn't sure. And then he said, spirit is always for expansion and growth. And I thought, wow, if my DNA is perfect and my spirit is always there for expansion and growth, maybe I will go back and think that through. And Bob said another thing at the Science of Getting Rich. He said, very few of you are going to do the work that's necessary. He said, I have been studying this book. He showed us the black book, Science of Getting Rich. Think and Grow Rich, for almost 6 decades. And so then he said, if you really want to do this, you have to have discipline, and you have to have gratitude, and you've got to find an accountability partner. And when you look for an accountability partner, choose somebody who's done the work and that you respect and admire, who's been there, has done the work, it's where you want to be. So I thought about it and I said to myself, you know, over the years, in 2012, my upline, Rob Mason, was tragically killed in a bike accident, bicycle. And so I loved Rob and it was amazing. And then, you know, we really felt like we were rudderless here after Rob left. I did anyway. And Michael reached out to all of us shortly after and said, you know, if you want help and mentoring, I'm here. However, I couldn't see that. You know, I participated, but, you know, I wasn't there. I wasn't there 100%. So, and I promised Michael and I sent him some goals, but I never followed through. So I thought, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to muster all my courage. I'm going to phone Michael DiMuccio and I'm going to ask him to be my accountability partner. It took a couple of days to build up that courage. And he said, yes, absolutely. I'd love to do that. And I thought, wow. And something inside of me shifted. I think it was in my heart. Something shifted. And I thought, oh, okay. He's going to be my accountability partner. And I thought, okay, well, if Michael said yes, maybe I'll ask a couple of other friends that I admire and respect. So I sent a text to a friend of mine in Victoria, in British Columbia here, and I asked her, and she said, absolutely. So I asked another friend. So I have 3 accountability partners. So, and after Michael said that, I thought, okay, well, he's going to be a diamond. He's a diamond. I'm going to work towards being a diamond. What else do I need to become a diamond? So I said to myself, as a Royal Diamond trainee, I need to do all of these different things. So I saw myself, I couldn't envision myself as a Royal Diamond. That's something I just, you know, can't do. But I can envision myself as a Royal Diamond trainee. You start in day 1 and you work through the steps. So that's what I did. I decided, I called Barbara Bertucci and I asked her, well, what do you do as a Royal Diamond? I called you, Ben. I said, you're the best wordsmith I know. And I need help in, you know, doing some writing. If I, when I'm ready to build a team, I want to do some ads on Facebook. And, you know, I knew that you would be able to give me the perfect advice. So, and you did. Thank you very much. And then I called Madeline to ask her how she's doing her business. And she said that I should go and listen to the Smart Networker with Dave Rolfe. And I did hear Dave Rolfe at our Toronto seminar. And he also said, you know, I've got this book, check me out online, do the Smart Worker Networker with me. But I couldn't see myself doing that. You know, why would Dave Rolfe be interested in working with me? You know, so I did. I attended in May, my first call with Dave Rolfe, and then I thought, okay, I could do this. Then I asked, well, would you be willing to help me if I do the work, the homework and all of that? And he said, yes. So as I said, all the Royal Diamonds are delightful. They truly are delightful. And so that's what I've been doing. So from May 4th, I made a list of things I'm going to do. I'm going to discipline myself. I'm going to change my thoughts. I am going to write out a gratitude list every day. And I'm going to read and listen to a chapter or a page or how much ever I could do of The Science of Getting Rich. I'm going to walk every day. I'm going to start my Spanish lessons with Duolingo again, because I've started many times, but I didn't continue. And so what happened is that because of Michael being my accountability partner, and I chose him because I didn't want to disappoint him, because I love him and respect him, that kept me going. I wasn't going to lie to myself or Michael anymore. I was going to do the work. And so, and that translated into, looking at being a creator, being creative in the work I do. So I reached out to a web designer that I had do work for me before, and I approached her. Would you be willing to work with me? I want to create a Nikan store on my website. Can we do that? And so she's worked with me on that, and we're almost there with that. With Dave Rolfe, what I learned was to read the compensation plan. I read the compensation plan, but I didn't read it every day. So I figure, I'm doing the gratitude list. I'm doing my left-hand writing. I'm going to read the compensation plan every day, and I'm going to ask for help to understand the compensation plan. Then I decided that what I want to do is I really, really want to be a Royal Diamond. However, I need to go through these various steps to become a Royal Diamond. I need to understand the compensation plan. I need to understand how to become the best salesperson I can be. I need to learn about sales. I need to accept that this is what I love to do.
Mary,
And
can
yes,
I just jump in and just share a thought here? It's a huge backstory that you've shared, which is really interesting and giving us context as to how you got started here. What seems to be really important, which I want to emphasize from what you've shared, is the initial apprehension that you had of reaching out and asking for help. Yeah. Now, there were some very important lessons that Bob Proctor shared on the science of getting rich, which I think are really important. Having that accountability partner, being grateful, and so on and so forth. And reading Think and Grow Rich. I think that's a fantastic book that is worthy of all of our meaningful study. Yeah. But this is something that's really important. You got an accountability partner, and in the process, you've now started because of that one activity. This is the critical thing. First, I was nervous to ask for help.
Yeah.
But when I asked for help and I got it, then all of a sudden the goals got put down on paper. You started to write down, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, because you got to report back.
Yeah.
When you don't have to report back, the goals don't even end up on the paper. And if they don't end up on the paper, they're certainly not going to end up in action.
Right.
Yeah.
That's so true. Yeah, absolutely.
So that's really important.
Yeah.
I'm mindful of time. Any concluding thoughts, Mary?
No, one of the things that I do want to say, in the Science of Getting Rich, the thing that there's so many ahas, but in to add to what your presentation, I looked it up. It's in chapter 12, and he talks about efficient action, and he says, every day is either a successful day or a day of failure. And it is the successful days which get you what you want. If every day is a failure, you could never get rich. If every day is a success, you cannot help but get rich. If there is something that may be done today and you do not do it, you have failed in so far as that thing is concerned, and the consequences may be more disastrous than you imagine. You can't foresee the results or even the most trivial act. You do not know the workings of all the forces that have been set moving in your behalf. Much may depend on you doing some simple act. It may be the very thing which is to open the door of opportunity to great possibility. You can never know all the combinations which supreme power is making for you in the world of things and of human affairs. Your neglect or failure to do some small thing may cause a long delay in getting what you want. Do every day all that can be done that day.
I love that.
That is so powerful, and he calls it efficient action or inefficient action, and that really drives me, because I'll say to myself, "Am I having an efficient day?"
Yeah.
Or an inefficient day?
Yeah. And I think it's a good practice to get into, and I'm sure there's a lot of you on the call that do this already, but this would be my invitation to you for tonight's call. As we evaluate our work ethic rating, as we've gone through that definition and looked at that, as we've listened to Mary's wonderful story, and to me the big takeaway there was ask for help, get an accountability partner, because when that happens, that creates a cascading effect of my goals now end up on paper. Yeah. And you started to get more excited about what you could achieve, and your confidence seemed to blossom even as you spoke. You went from how you felt to how you were now feeling with an accountability partner. And you could see the growth in your own self-image kind of go like that as you were speaking, which was really quite fascinating to behold. So getting an accountability partner is critical. But that last remark as well is vital, that we should do all that lies in our power to do each and every day. Because we don't know what little thing could have a monumental impact. By small and simple things, great things are brought to pass. Yeah, it's really true. And so what we need to do is just take a moment at the beginning of each day. Find some time where you can identify a quiet space where you can just visualize the day, take some time out just to be mindful of what lies before you, what commitments you have, what responsibilities you have, and make a private commitment that today, as I start my day, I will do all that lies in my path that needs to be done, and I will do it to the best of my ability. If we just make that small commitment, that's a small prayer, isn't it? That's a small acknowledgement at the beginning of each day to do our best. But please help me to understand what is right for me to do, and give me the courage to do it and to get it done well. If we start the day out that way, I am confident with an accountability partner like Mary suggested, we can go on to create great things in our business. And if we can have that measuring stick of those 10 qualities of great work ethic, then we'll be able to guide ourselves and navigate through on this is what it should look like, this is how we should be doing, and we can get there sure enough. So I'm confident with what we've discussed today, great things can lie ahead of us. And we've got some great examples in the room of people that are doing it. So again, to everyone that was recognized, that was on that list of great achievers with the top PV and top PGV, congratulations, well done. Keep up the great work. You're shining examples to us. We love it. And please don't underestimate just how important your example is to those around us. It means a lot. So don't devalue that by any stretch. So thank you all very much. Love you very much. And we'll see you on perhaps my call tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Pacific time, if you're inclined to get on that one. If not, we'll see you next week at Mike's call, usual hour. Take care, everyone. We'll see you later.
Great call, Ben.
Cheers. Thanks, Linda.